Is Pluto a planet? Is it a star? What is it really? I think Pluto says, spend your days arguing about how to define me. That keeps you distracted so I can spy on you from the back. Pluto, the farthest planetary body, dwarf planet, star, whatever you want to refer to it as. He's a part of us, and he sits way, way, way far out in the solar system where he likes it. He's got the bird's eye view of who Venus is in love with, of who Mars is in a competition with. Pluto is watching Saturn saying, are you upholding integrity since you're the rule maker and the governor of the solar system? Pluto's looking at Mercury saying, why are you lying to them and telling them this? Your mind's all over the place. Pluto is like the gatekeeper of secrets of our solar system. I love Pluto. Scorpio risings. Do you identify more with being ruled by Mars or Pluto? A lot of astrologers would say wherever Scorpio sits in your chart, it's ruled by Mars. So if you have a Scorpio 7th house, then Mars is the ruler of it. But some people will still go to Pluto. I like to look at both. I like to gather all the data. Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Astrology Lounge. Me and the Pugs are here sitting in the studio with you, and we're going to talk about Pluto. This episode came to me out of the blue. I really like to think that that's because there's something in it we need to hear. I say we because I'm right there with you. Pluto moved into Aquarius March 23rd, 2023. I'm going to have another episode coming up. I've been taking lots of notes on this one too. My mind is just, Cancer rules my third house. I've been booked and busy over here coming up with the ideas for us to all learn together. But chart rectification. I'm curating an episode to help people who don't know their birth time figure out what their rising sign is. I never want people to feel, oh man, another horoscope episode. Well, I don't know my rising sign, so I'll just listen for my sun sign. I want to help people out with this because I've seen every situation under the sun, from I was born in a vehicle and didn't make it to the hospital until 45 minutes later, so I don't know my birth time. Of course, adoption and lost birth certificates, and there's so much to it. A lot of physicians who give birth to babies tend to round up too. They were born at 12:25. Just say it's 12:30. Like astrologers get gray hair. No. But I'm here to talk about Pluto, March 23rd, 2023. March 2023 was a banner month. And speaking of chart rectification, that's why I was mentioning this, is because we're going to talk about ways to find your birth time through reverse analyzation, meaning we're going to go back in time and say, okay, whoa, March 2023, Saturn moved into a new sign. Pluto moved into a new sign. These are two guys you feel. These are ones that not a lot of us can escape situation occurring, and it is so wild. Now, again, there's an orb of influence, so a lot of people, I would say like 50% of people will go, oh, March 2023, yeah. And then there will be like 25% saying, oh, mine was April 2023. And then some say, no, February 2023. So that orb of influence of these planets moving signs is huge. And depending on the specific area of life, did you lose some friends? Did you get divorced? Did you get married? Did you have a baby? What major life event occurred? That can point us to the house that these planets were likely activating for you. So that is when Pluto, planet of transformation, death and rebirth, poor guy, gets a bad reputation for being Mr. Scary. I don't think so. I love a good renovation. I love a good death and a rebirth. I always think there's always going to be one area of life that I would love to just press a button on a remote, click, and it completely changes. I always tell people when they're afraid of Pluto, like, hey, I don't know, your bank account. Do you wish that you could press a button and your bank account transforms into having a lot of zeros in it after a one? Sure, yeah, go ahead. How will I do that? Well, we'll have to completely kill off how you make money and how you relate to money right now. Like, that's going to have to die. We're going to press a button and completely your memory and how you relate to money. And you'll have to be reborn into a completely different mindset about money. So you will have to go through that birthing canal to get to that point, but it's right there if you'd like it. Oh, yeah, I'll go through that, sure. What do I got to do? Here, hook me up on the IV. Let's go. That's how Pluto works. Maybe it's my Scorpio moon talking. I just love a good transformation. I fear so many things, but while I'm in them, I'm always like, wow, this is going to make a really good story one day. This is going to make a really good podcast one day. And this is going to give me strength. Now that I go through something I was so anxious about experiencing and realize, okay, yeah, it was painful. It sucked just as much as I thought it would. But I'm here the next day having a cup of coffee. I'm living to the next weekend and I'm having lunch outside with friends. Okay, I survived. I made it. Wow, now what can I get through? And isn't there like nothing better than going through something so painful and then in hindsight you meet someone younger who is going through it and you can see yourself in their eyes and their expression and you're like, I've been there before thinking that this was also the end of my world, but it's not. And here, let me hold your hand through it because I can understand why this feels like the collapse of your world, but it's not. That, my friends, is Pluto coming around a different house, a different area of life to refuse to let you stay the same. You know how we say things like, oh, now that happened years ago, I can see it led me to meeting that person. If I never went through that difficult thing, I would have never found this job or moved to that location where everything unfolded for me. I think that's Pluto. That's Pluto's transformational energy right there. If you went through something painful, but then in hindsight, you really saw why it had to happen, I think that's Pluto. That's where Pluto was quietly transforming you and giving your power back, not to punish you, but to make you stronger than you ever imagined. Pluto is never about destruction. It's about removing what no longer has integrity, what's no longer true, so something more authentic can emerge from the rubble. Pluto is that Scorpio type energy. It's ride or die. It's, ooh, you really messed up, friend, and I don't agree with that, but we're best friends. We're family. I got you. I want you to be your most authentic, true self. I want to help you get better always. That is Pluto's energy. So to put Pluto transits into perspective, before we really dive into what area of life each one of the zodiac signs has been experiencing a massive transformation, I want to put Pluto into perspective. Pluto, I know it's debatable whether or not it's a planet. It's a dwarf planet. We'll land on that. It takes about 248 to 300 some-ish years to go around the Earth. And it's not a perfect sphere of an orbit like other planets. Its orb looks more like an oval, meaning when we cut a birth chart into pie slices, Pluto will spend, because of its oval-shaped orbit, up to 30 long years, 3 decades in one zodiac sign, meaning for us, one house, one area of life. Sometimes it'll spend as few as 12 to 15 years, so a little like a decade and a half in one area of life. So if you say the average person lives to about 80 years old, Pluto will only transform roughly 3 to 5 areas of life in your birth chart. In scientific terms, Pluto will only transit, if you live to be about 80 years old, roughly, you'll only see Pluto switch signs, zodiac signs, roughly 3 to 5 times. 6, if you're lucky. If you live to old age, Pluto will have transformed half of your chart. But unless you live to be about 300 years old, you won't experience Pluto transforming half of your chart. So Pluto transits are extremely personal. We will all experience a retrograde, a Mercury retrograde in one area of life in our chart. We will all experience Venus blessing in every single area of life, all 12 areas of life. But Pluto, it's very personal. Not all of us, like Aquarius risings, they have Pluto going through their first house of everything them, their entire identity, who they are. Some people will never experience that at all, depending on their age. Scorpio risings have Pluto going through their 4th house of home, family. Some zodiac signs will never experience that intensity. So, needless to say, Pluto's transit through a house is very personal, and in my personal opinion, one of the best transits to keep your eye on, because, this year we've talked about Uranus moving into Gemini. We've talked about Neptune moving into Aries, Saturn moving into Aries. Each one of those is a different room of your house of life getting remodeled. but Pluto is the sky your house is under. It's that cosmic, oh, that led to that, led to that, led to that. There's alchemy in it. There's entire life alchemy. I would imagine Pluto is God. Pluto is creator. Pluto is everything big, right? You could say like Saturn is Jesus and Pluto is God. There you go. I should really have someone who knows how to properly tie astrology into the Bible come on the show. It would be cool. So Pluto will only transform 3 to 5 areas of life. And right now, wherever Aquarius is in your chart is getting the complete Plutonian remodel. And remember, you got a taste of this March 2023. Now, November 19th, 2024 is when Pluto stopped sitting on the fence of Capricorn and Aquarius and officially said, I'm permanently closing and dissolving the door to Capricorn. I'm done. I'm staying in Aquarius. So November 19th, 2024 until March 8th, 2043. Whoa. Think of all that's going to happen between now and 2043. I know, time's flying by fast. But this is also how I quell many fears around Pluto transits. You know, my Cancer risings are saying, Pluto's in my 8th house of death. Am I going to lose someone? I say, of course you are. Of course you're going to experience death of someone you love. That's like 20-something years. You really think you're going to go through that without experiencing a death? Come on, you're human. This is just, it's the human life. But Pluto going through that does increase the weather forecast for that specific death, completely alchemizing trust issues, betrayal issues. When a death occurs, when Pluto is going through your 8th house, it may profoundly impact you and show you how much you value people around you, and you'll move differently after that loss. You'll recognize the importance of family, of marriage, of how short time is, and how you should really focus on just appreciating the people you have. So yes, absolutely you will. What do you mean? You're scared of it. It's already coming, whether you know astrology or not. That's how Pluto operates. So guys, I just wanted to go through Pluto. I'm going to go through the rising signs. Of course, that is where the most accuracy is held. But feel free to listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and of course, listen to the signs of those around you. Listen for your spouse, your partner, your kids. Listen to see what area of life your loved ones are going through a dramatic transformation, and do your best with this knowledge to not encourage them to do what you believe is right. They're going through huge alchemy with this specific area of life, and the best thing you can do is just be there as an anchor of support during this transformation. So we're going to kick things off with Aries. Oh, Aries, this is your 11th house. When Pluto moved into Aquarius, it moved into your house of friendships, community, retirement, future dreams. Would you guys say that around the 2023 date, all the way up to now, you have completely changed who you associate with? Would you say you had to face the loss of a future you were so Aries determined was going to be yours? Maybe it was the dream of being a parent or a grandparent. Maybe it was the dream of being married to the same person for the rest of your life. Maybe it was the dream of, I'll retire at this age, and something happened where that's not the case anymore. Now, it's in the sign of Aquarius, rebellion, thinking outside the box. So it wants you to stop chasing belonging and doing what the rest of the world is doing, and instead build the kind of community or chase the type of dream that exists because you want to be different. And so again, you guys have this transit until 2043. There's a lot of transformation going on around the company you keep. If you are of retirement age, I have no doubt that retirement is likely to transform you on such an intense level that you didn't see coming. And if you have had to let go of how you thought the future would go, surrender. Surrender to what God, whatever you believe in, Pluto, has in store for you. Because even if it might not be what your strong, stern Aries rising self wanted, it may be exactly what you need. I love this for you, Aries. Who have you outgrown? Who truly supports the person you are becoming, right? You may have watched people just quietly leave your life, or because you are spicy, maybe there were some dramatic friendship breakups. Or perhaps you've realized the future you once wanted no longer fits who you're becoming. Or maybe you have exhausted all efforts into chasing a dream that you have held for decades. Pluto is sitting in this house for you and saying who truly empowers you and loves you. Aquarius, adding that layer to it, is asking what kind of community are you brave enough to create that doesn't already exist? Where have you felt rejected? Where has that rejection actually redirected you towards your true tribe? What dream has died that you may be still grieving, but what dream are you slowly, with the sunrise energy of this, starting to feel ready to pursue? Even if no one around you understands it, even if you throw the shock factor on people. You say, this is what I want. This is how I'm pursuing it. I know this hasn't been me, but I'm ready to surrender to what is and take that data to create what I want from a different lens. Aries, I like this transit for you. I think it's really cool. I just want to tell you that it is a-okay to be grieving the loss of friendships, to be grieving the loss of dreams you may have held. But when you phoenix rising from the ashes, that is so Pluto's energy. When you rise from this grief, you may find friends and communities that you didn't realize how close and easy and comfortable friendship could actually feel. How loyal people can actually be. How celebratory people can actually be. And one of my favorite ways to translate Pluto in the 11th house is when you let go of trying to control fate and just let destiny and fate do what it's going to do, you may find that the future you begged and prayed for and wanted was not exactly it, but the one that effortlessly finds you when you go with the flow instead of trying to paddle upstream is even better than the one you thought you wanted. This is a really powerful Aries, and I hope so far you've been really enjoying this Pluto transit through the 11th house. And, last thing I'll say for you guys is if there's been a group that you want to start, if you want to introduce astrology into an area that you're like, oh no, am I going to get in trouble for this? Raise your hand and do it. Create a community, create a tribe, come up with a new dream, because a lot of us are going to follow suit in the collective. So good luck out there, Aries. Taurus rising. Ooh, Pluto moving into Aquarius for you, March 2023. What happened? Did you feel like life just completely got turned upside down? Pluto's moving through your 10th house. Now, on the streets, we call this the house of career, but I'm going to call it your life's work, your life's legacy. The 10th house is the overall direction my life is taking. If we use the tree analogy, the 4th house is the roots of the birth chart. The 10th house is the canopy. Are there flowers blooming? Are we harvesting fruit? Is there nothing? Are the leaves browning? When Pluto moves into the 10th house, it says, are we harvesting fruits that we want? Or have we neglected our own tree being there for other people? Have we adopted, you just finished Pluto in your 9th house of belief systems. You're probably coming out of an era since 2008 where you had lots of dramatic moments where you realized all the beliefs you were taught growing up were wrong. And you had to somehow go out there, thank goodness for the internet in this regard, you had to go out there and establish a whole new set of rules, foundation, belief systems. And it's like, now you're in the era where you have to put your money where your mouth is and get out there and actually live those new beliefs rather than just vocalizing and communicating and saying that's your belief. You actually have to go exemplify it. So Taurus, I put a star next to your name because the 10th house in astrology is what we call a cardinal house. Fancy word for very important house, very impactful, significant house. Because the first house is our self. The 4th house is our home. The 7th house is our marriage and our relationships. And the 10th house is, what do I do with my life? Those are very important areas of life that when they are unfulfilled or not authentic, they affect everything else. A cardinal house. So I put a star next to your name because you have Pluto going through one of those houses. This is your reputation. This is your life's direction. It's been undergoing a massive transformation since March 2023. A lot of you may have stepped into leadership, completely changed careers, or felt increased pressure around the way I thought my life was going to turn out is not. Now, what do I want to do about it? Do I want to accept that, or do I want to change that? Right? Aquarius, I'll throw the layer of Aquarius on it. It's asking you to lead in your own unique way. Don't climb someone else's ladder. Build one that didn't exist before. The direction of your life is asking to go in a way that's so eccentric and unique. So a lot of you, because you are a fixed rising sign, may have experienced a lot of situations where you've stayed in relationships far too long for the sense of comfort and familiarity. You may have stayed in careers, jobs, way too long because of the security of finances, knowing how much money you were going to earn. When Pluto moves to the 10th house, in Aquarius, mind you, it says no more of that. You must surrender to what is instead of staying where you are. And so it can be quite the jolting transit where you're like, wait, that is tried and true and safe, and you're telling me to branch out and do something that no one's ever done before, so there's no proof that I'll be okay? Ooh, right? That's kind of scary, Taurus rising. You guys know I'm also a Taurus rising. And my Pluto it hit my midheaven, my MC line. It's at 1 degrees Aquarius. As soon as Pluto hit it, my whole life, friendships, living location, career, everything massively turned upside down. And it was like a piggy bank that I had in my older room. It was like shaking my piggy bank, and only the fake plastic coins, fake friends, a living situation that I fell into because I didn't speak up because it was safe, it was secure. All those things just tumbled out and the real coins remained. But either way, my piggy bank felt empty. And I was like, well, this is scary. And one of the biggest transformations that I experienced was getting off of social media. That's where I created this career. Instagram, social media, Facebook. That's where I planted my seeds of intention around creating a career for myself. And I was in survival mode. I was literally bouncing around Airbnbs, sleeping on friends' couches, sometimes sleeping in my Subaru Forester, 200,000 miles on it. I mean, it was roughing it. I was in my early 30s, so I could. But it's so wild. I was just looking at the Astrology Lounge, this literal space I'm in right now. Yesterday, I was standing in the ranch, just staring off into it, going, oh my gosh. How did I go from couch hopping to having this? Wow, Pluto. But I completely got off of social media when Pluto was at the 1 degree Aquarius on my midheaven in my 10th house. And it was terrifying. I feel a little embarrassed to say that because it's like, oh, so scary getting off of Instagram. But it was terrifying. All I could think was, I'm going to lose it all. I'm going to lose everything, like literal blood, sweat, and tears, sacrifice to create this platform. I'm going to lose it all. But I couldn't fight the force of Pluto. Every time I tried to keep posting on social media and keeping that up, I would get migraines. I would get sick. I would feel like, have you ever tried to stick two batteries together with the same charge and you're like, that is how I felt. Every time I would create a post, to the point where I was like, I can't do this. I can't explain this energy between me and this phone, but I cannot do this. And even today, I still fight the feeling of, am I just being lazy? Are other people outworking me? But when I took all of that energy and poured it into where it naturally flowed, which was this podcast, boom, 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 boom. You guys know, if you try and book a reading with me, my calendar is stacked. And I did not see that coming. I thought it was going to be the complete opposite. But Pluto said, when you go where it feels right, whether you can explain it logically or not, you will transform and get even more power back. And I did. And so I just shared this situation because maybe you can apply it to something you're going through in life. But I had to completely redefine what success means what legacy I actually want to leave. I didn't feel good with what I was leaving on Instagram. It just didn't feel like a direction I wanted to go. I really enjoy podcasting. I really enjoy writing. I wanted to take my energy and focus it on that. So my fellow Taurus risings, it's our career, it's our reputation, it is our overall life's work and life's direction wants to go through a huge major change. Because this is the top of our chart, it's not just work. A lot of you could experience divorce or marriage. A lot of you can experience retirement or children moving out of the house, adult children moving out, becoming a grandparent, or becoming a parent for the first time. That's actually a big thing with the 10th house, because this is your legacy. And a lot of people who choose to have children, their legacy lies within, do I raise my children to become wonderful stewards of earth? So a lot of Taurus risings could be welcoming children over the next 15 years. And parenthood completely changes your life's direction, your career, everything about it. Grandparenthood as well for my older Taurus risings. But this is ultimately a massive transformation of what you're leaving behind in this world. And Aquarius wants you to lead differently, not by following the traditional path, but by creating your own. So Taurus risings, are you building the career you actually want, or the one you thought you were supposed to have? Is the way your life going, does it feel in control and unique to you, or do you feel like you're checking off boxes that everyone around you told you to do? Pluto really wants you guys to take back control of your life. Again, one of our disempowered settings, being a Taurus rising, is staying stagnant and lazy, I'll say it, in a place where we don't belong, a living situation we don't enjoy, a relationship we don't enjoy, a job that is draining us, simply for the familiar faces and familiar paychecks. But what does that do over time? It erodes our sense of self, and it completely kidnaps our sense of power over our life. We grow, we gain weight, we Taurus risings. We put on weight. We feel fatigued all the time. We don't go have fun and enjoy the little things in life. And actually, it does affect our finances even more, because if we're happy and we feel in control, big Taurus word, of our fate, our destiny, our areas of life, we actually go on to make even more money. And we realize, holy guacamole, I have always held the key to making more money for myself. This is interesting. This is really interesting. So this is what Pluto in that 10th house of ours is asking from now until 2043. Surrender to the way your life wants to go, but also don't stay in places where the contract has expired. Go after what feels really good and authentic to you, and let life change you, right? What are you here to become? How do you want to leave a mark on the world? Do you want to become a parent, a grandparent? What do you want people to remember you for? I will leave it at that. When you die, what do you want your obituary to say? Pluto's going to ask you, well, not ask you, Pluto's going to move you towards those intentions, whether you're ready or not. But Taurus, you may very much realize that when you leap, the net will most definitely appear. Have fun out there, my Taurus risings. Gemini risings, how's Uranus in that first house, huh? Ooh, Uranus in your first house, Pluto in your 9th house. You guys are going through the major makeover, and I love it for you. Gemini risings, Pluto moved into Aquarius in March 2023, and it's going to stay in your 9th house until 2043. Woo, that's 20 long years of having your beliefs about life completely evolve in profound ways. The 9th house is higher education. It is publishing. It is the law. Do you guys have any stories around those subjects? It's international travel. Maybe you have never traveled before and now you're traveling all the time. Or maybe you're a Gemini free spirit that has been internationally traveling so much and now you're becoming a homebody. Your beliefs around travel are completely changing. Spirituality. I've noticed a lot of Gemini risings since about 2023 have been going from organized religion to spirituality, back to organized religion, back to spirituality. They're like, oh, where do I fit in? What do I believe? I have a mutable air mind. I don't know. That's okay. To that I say, keep going, keep experimenting. Travel, education, spirituality, difficult experiences with those subjects. You're being challenged to question everything you thought you knew. Your worldview. Oh, lucky you guys. You get a Pluto going through the ninth house in one of the most politically and socially divided eras, I think, of humanity. You guys must be going from, I'm a Democrat to I'm Republican. Definitely not Republican. I'm a Democrat again. Oh, God, I don't like those policies. I think I'll be more conservative. Okay. Geminis are definitely the people who come to me and say, your phrase, being called a political orphan, is exactly how I feel. Spiritual orphan, exactly how I feel. I just don't know what to think anymore. Now, if we throw the layer of Aquarius onto this, think for yourself. Challenge outdated philosophies. Do not follow religion because your family, your comfort zone does, and you think, oh, I like them and they're always there for me. Sure, I should do what they do. Do not continue following spirituality. Question if it's bypassing your own behaviors that you need to look at, reflect on, and fix. Sit in the middle there. Become someone who teaches through originality instead of tradition. Let your belief systems get dramatically changed. Sign up for school, get the degree, go on the international trip, or stop internationally traveling and become a homebody. Take all the traveling you have done and pour it into where you live now. Question all of your beliefs, the ones you had about your career, about yourself, about your friends, everything in life. You guys are on this mission, and Pluto's your guide to help you discover a new truth for yourself. What are your beliefs about becoming a parent, about raising children? What are your beliefs about marriage and union and partnership? What do you believe? This is where Pluto is really challenging you guys. It's like Aquarius is encouraging the independent thinking, innovation. You've got Uranus, the planet of Aquarius, going through your first house, saying now it's time to act on those new beliefs that you've established since 2023. Where have your opinions completely changed? What beliefs have you outgrown? What truth have you discovered because you dared to ask questions that others were too afraid to ask? This, we don't realize how impactful simple little belief systems are until you go tell your very liberal family that you're voting for Trump in the next election. Until you go tell your extremely conservative family that you're becoming an astrologer. Even beliefs around dietary needs. Hey, I know we grew up eating barbecue and steak, but I'm going to be vegan. So if you guys could support me in that, that'd be great. I really believe it's best for me. People just have so much shit to say about our belief systems. Instead of just getting curious about why someone believes something, we automatically assume if you believe one thing out of the constellation of different beliefs in this world, then we're going to judge you and say that's the type of person you are. So while the ninth house isn't as extreme as a cardinal house, it's still profound. Our beliefs anchor us in security. They anchor us into who we are. When those beliefs get turned upside down, or when you start believing something different, it can be very scary. Say you get married and you're like, well, I believed that you should take someone's last name and have the traditional marriage. And then you grow up and you change and you're like, I really just, through life's experiences of travel and education and meeting people of all ages and nationalities, I just don't think I believe in that anymore. After hearing so many stories, I just don't believe in that anymore. And then you have to think, do I stay married? Do I get to know this person again? Or do I accept that we outgrew each other in our beliefs? Friendships. So many people have friendships that stand the test of time, but then we become friends with people that we're like, man, they just won't stop crying about something that happened in the 1980s. I don't know if I can remain friends with this person. Or, of course, some people firmly say, I cannot be friends with someone who holds that political belief, that social belief. I just can't balance the two. That's the ninth house. And when Pluto goes through this house, it simply says, what beliefs have you inherited that really aren't your own? And as Uranus goes through your first house and challenges you to think outside the box for yourself and completely reinvent how the world sees you, what beliefs need to die off with that, and what new beliefs need to grow. We need you guys to shock people with Uranus going through your first house. And I think the first place that shock is going to hit is you announcing what you no longer believe in and what you now truly believe in. So rock on, Gemini risings. Go to church. Go to a spiritual retreat. Do it all. Don't let anybody box you guys in to a single belief system. Be a Democrat and a Republican. Vote independent. Run for office while you're at it. We could use some Gemini rising leaders. Write about your stories. Write about your journeys in such a unique, different way. This is what the astrology is asking you guys to do. But don't let anybody box you in. Let your beliefs be your beliefs. Challenge. The best thing I could tell you guys to do is to challenge the belief systems that you were born into. I'm not saying like start a food fight at the Thanksgiving table with family, but truly just challenge in the quiet of your own mind or with a therapist. Challenge what you were born believing. And ask yourself, who am I without, because at Gemini rising, you guys are always surrounded by people. You guys don't do well alone. You need some Scorpio friends. But you guys are mutable air, right? You're ruled by mutability. It's a empowered and a disempowered part of your chart is you naturally take on the characteristics and the opinions of everyone you're around because you have such a gift for conversation. You love to take in multiple different viewpoints that sometimes you can get lost in. Okay, wow, I've been best friends with that side of the fence, that side of the fence, that side. Who am I? Where do I sit? Because I just feel like I'm floating in the middle. But, in order to really achieve success in life, and no matter what area of life I want success in, I have to be anchored in something. A friend to all is a friend to none, if you will. So, Geminis, have fun with this. Always here for you if you need me. And thank you guys for being a part of the podcast. I really take it as a very high compliment when you guys listen to the show because you're the brainiacs. You're so smart. And I'm sure you've got a lot of podcasts on your Spotify Rolodex. And if I'm one of them, I'm really thankful. So good luck out there, Geminis. And Cancer risings. Ooh, you guys got Pluto at home. In the 8th house, Pluto in Aquarius has been taking you deep into sex, intimacy with another, trust issues with people you're close with, feeling vulnerable or protecting vulnerability. Shared finances are a huge one. Inheritance issues, grief, emotional healing. A lot of Cancer risings of all ages are still reeling from Pluto going through their 7th house of relationships and kind of slowly crawling out of their crab cave on the beach and thinking, wait, is the ocean safe to come back out? And when I come back out, I don't want to pair up with any other crab because I don't trust them to pinch me while I'm sleeping. Fair enough. But Pluto going through this 8th house from now until 2043 is asking you to have more trust in yourself. Not against other people, not to open your heart and trust again, because I have a feeling a lot of you are going to say, absolutely not. That is so painful. I'm here to learn relationships. I was betrayed by my parents, by my family, never mind romantic partners. I'm all set. Me, myself, and I on my own island. And you know what? You guys are entitled to that after what some of you may have endured. But Pluto going through this 8th house is asking you to trust again. And number one, yourself. To trust yourself, to trust your gut feelings. All the times that you've experienced pain, mistrust, betrayal, issues over money, I'm sure you moon-ruled children can look back and say, oh, I had the gut feeling. I had it. I had it in the very beginning, but my heart was so big and illuminated because I love love, I love humanity, I love caretaking that I ignored the little punches in my belly button, the little gut feelings. I just thought, well, love can solve anything. But those gut feelings were correct. So you guys have likely faced deep lessons since 2008, especially around trust, intimacy, emotional alchemy. Now we throw the Aquarius layer on it. It's helping you guys break generational patterns and prove that healing doesn't have to look the way it always has. I was mentioning in the intro of this podcast that a lot of people with Pluto going through the 8th house will experience a death. And if they do, and I don't say that to scare you. Of course, you're going to experience a death of someone or something over the next 20 years, duh. But what it means is that it's likely to really impact you and wake you up to feelings around, have I kept walls up so high to protect myself that I forgot to love? Life is too short. I'm looking at a loved one dead in front of me and realizing I could be next at any time. Do I really want to spend the rest of this life just a cold ice cube and not let anyone in and do life alone? Is that really what I want? Well, no. So what do I do? How do I feel this? What fears am I finally confronting? Where am I learning to trust more deeply? Is what Pluto in your 8th house is asking you guys. It's not easy work, but it is incredibly powerful. When you get to a point where you realize that you cannot control what anyone else is going to do, the only thing you can control is how you react to it. You enter into every friendship, romantic partnership, sexual encounter, business partnership, financial agreement with full trust that you showed up with integrity, you showed up with authenticity. How that person reacts and handles that has nothing to do with you and 100% to do with them. And Pluto goes through here and says, hey, this is just life. It is always going to happen no matter how prepared you are. But you can be prepared to end it and cut it off the first time it happens rather than letting it sit and marinate and stir and lost time, lost money, lost love. When you're armed with that knowledge, you move throughout the world differently. Now, the 8th house, family wounds, family secrets. This is a subject that house carries. So which family wounds or emotional family patterns stop with you? Where have you guys discovered strength by facing something you once tried so hard to avoid? What part of your life has been asking for complete emotional honesty? What is the truth about your current partnership? What is the truth about the people you pick to date or have sex with? What is the truth about the people you choose to share finances and living space with? What is the truth about how much you're acting like mom or how much you're acting like dad? A lot of you are in this like spiritual surgical sphere where you're realizing, oh, that's the reason why I act like that. So maybe I wasn't the best partner to be around. I thought my heart just, tainted everything. But yeah, I can see how my trust issues led to someone feeling suffocated, or my control issues, because I didn't have it growing up, led someone to feel suffocated by me. And needless to say, it's a wonderful time to work with a therapist or read lots of psychology and self-help books so you can unravel these things. And as you slowly bring light and awareness to them, you can stop repeating them, but you also have protection. You realize you're untouchable when you have that level of self-awareness. The 8th house is so big on trust. Trust, trust, trust. Who do you trust with your life? Who do you say you trust, but you actually don't? Are you someone that's trustworthy? Where have you silently, unintentionally maybe, manipulated people? Where have you done some things you're not proud of to maintain control in a situation? Where have you been able to recognize, ooh, I just really wanted the upper hand because that means they can't hurt me, but by default I hurt them? This is the alchemy that Pluto going through the 8th house is asking you guys to look at. To alchemize, to turn into power, into strength. I love Pluto in his home house. The 8th house is him coming home. And in the sign of Aquarius, this is saying, hey, this is collective work here. You guys may literally come out of this transit being shamans of some sort, helping people alchemize their relationship woes. You're getting your PhD in trust and intimacy and building firm boundaries while letting someone in completely. Those two things can coexist and be true at the same time, and you guys are realizing that more than anyone. So Cancer risings, I'll wrap it up saying this. If you've experienced death of a pet, of a loved one, it doesn't have to be a literal living being losing its heartbeat. Death could be metaphorical. Maybe who you were in 2023 is so far gone from who you are now. The old you is dead and gone. Maybe you've switched jobs. Maybe you've switched where you live. Maybe you've left relationships. Maybe there's an old version of you that, has died. An old dream you held on to so tightly has died. But what comes after death? Rebirth. And how fun is a rebirth? It's a clean slate. You get to move differently. You get to make different decisions from it. It can be scary at first when you're not used to having that level of autonomy. Sometimes when we're so in control of everything external, when we finally get the paintbrush to paint internal, we freak out. And we don't trust ourselves to make the right decision for ourselves, but we'll give everybody else the best advice for their lives. But we don't trust ourselves to make the best decisions for us. How funny is that, right? Pluto's teaching you how to move differently in those ways, Cancer rising. And I send you the best of luck. I hope Jupiter going through your sign treated you very, very well. Leo risings. Pluto's transit through Aquarius is a real personal one for you. It's going through what we call a cardinal house, which is a fancy word for it's really important. It's significant. And for you guys, combined with a Taurus rising, a Scorpio rising, and Aquarius rising, you guys are all going through real personal areas of life being completely transformed by Pluto. And for you Leos, it's the 7th house of marriage. Oh, that's one of those houses when I'm giving birth chart readings. If someone sees an empty 5th house of children or 7th house of marriage, am I never going to find the one? Quite the opposite. I've seen it all different ways. I've seen an empty 7th house have the perfect long-term life partnership. Perfect, air quotes. I've seen an empty 7th house. Actually, more than that, I've seen empty 7th house be people who just feel unlucky in love. They just can't find that life partner. So an empty house is simply an opportunity for you. There's nothing working for you or against you, period. And then you would go find the ruler of that to get a deeper picture. Leo, with Pluto going through your 7th house, you are learning how to alchemize pain in relationships. You are learning how to experience relationships of all kind. Marriage and divorce, number one definition of this house. But it could be co-parenting. It can be in-laws. It could be your neighbors, your siblings, your best friends, business partners, co-workers, classmates. Life is a giant mosaic of relationships. And it's really cool that people are now understanding how important healthy, open, free, fun, safe, calm, peaceful relationships are to your physical health. So Leo risings, this could also be another indication of you are going through this huge glow up and your relationships are the first place I'm looking at what's going on. So since March 2023, and then again November 2024, and lasting until 2043, relationships are becoming one of your biggest teachers. So many Leo risings and Leo suns have been engaged, married, and divorced since 2023. It is wild to see. Pluto comes to expose, and it exposes the things we don't want to talk about. So Pluto moving through the 7th house of relationships exposes unhealthy dynamics, power struggles, codependency, or superficial connections so that healthier, more authentic ones can emerge. Now, throwing on the layer of Aquarius into this, it's reminding you that true partnership is not about losing yourself. It's about two whole people choosing each other, two individuals coming together. Because you guys have Aquarius ruling your 7th house, I know if you're a Leo sun or Leo moon, it's all about the aesthetic. It's got to look good. It's just what you want to do. But wherever Aquarius is in our chart is where we're meant to do things differently. So for a lot of you, you may be getting married later in life, or you may be getting married someone a lot older, a lot younger, a different nationality, perhaps someone you met virtually or online or a dating app and did long distance for a while. Some of you may be deciding we're engaged, but we want to start a family first and then get married later so our kids can watch our union. Some of you may be moving in first and having a baby and then getting married. There's something about relationships and questioning the societal norm of them that Pluto is asking you to do. Pluto moving into this house can also have you taking a very good look at, are you getting engaged, married, throwing the wedding showers and doing all that stuff because it's what you think you need to do? Or are you really doing it to keep up with the societal timeline because you think that once you do it, you'll feel fulfilled and you'll keep up with the Jonases and your friends and you can have your time and your shine? Because it's really filling a void left over from childhood or your teenage years where you weren't the cool kid in school or didn't feel popular or hot or talented. And so now you're like, well, if there's one event in my entire life that'll get me to that level where everyone's looking at me and celebrating me, it's a wedding. So, hey, you better propose to me soon. I'm not moving in with you unless we get engaged. And they're like, wait, why do we have to rush into this? And you're like, we're getting married. Something going on there. Now, for people who are Leo rising with Pluto going through this house, who have been married for a long time, you may be taking a good hard look at, hey, longevity doesn't measure a relationship's level of success. The present moment does. How you feel with each other does. Since 2023, when this started, has your definition of love changed? Has your definition of friendship? What relationship or relationships have taught you the most about yourself since 2023? Are you choosing connection from authenticity or from obligation? Ooh, I just had a sticky note fall. I guess that's for you guys. So Pluto moving into the 7th house. Relationships are transforming you from now until 2043. And I know you could say, well, obviously, all relationships all the time transform us. And you're right. But with Pluto, it turns up the intensity. And so friendship breakups, romantic breakups, they all carry a different weight when they begin, if they end. That's what Pluto in the 7th house is doing. So Leo risings, you guys are about to have Jupiter bless your 1st house. If you've been thinking about leaving a relationship, ending a relationship, or feeling more confident to get out there and start a new friendship, marriage, partnership, a lot of you are about to get married or maybe welcome children into your family or buy a house with someone, some major awesome milestones that involve another. This is your time. This is your time to simply pay attention to what each person coming into your life is teaching you, period. Virgo risings. Pluto going through your 6th house of Virgo is I would say one of the biggest transits of your lifetime, because as a Virgo ascendant, your soul's promise, how you move throughout the world, what you should always anchor yourself back to is kind of 6th house themes. And so Pluto going through this house is this huge reckoning of, hey, if you've been veering on the wrong path, we are going to knock you back onto the right one, which is health habits, daily routine. I think a lot of Virgo ascendants can get sober, can lose weight or gain weight, can really check their physical health and make strong connections to what the emotional dis-ease might be. For a lot of Virgo risings, they may be having this reckoning is the word that keeps coming to mind when it comes to their health, what they eat, what they drink. A lot of them may become health coaches, physicians during this time. Virgo risings with Pluto going through that 6th house is asking you, where have you lost yourself? Your soul's promise is to master Virgo themes, which is still being able to have cake and naughty foods, but in moderation, and to recognize where you're utilizing food or substances to escape a daily reality that you don't like. So Pluto moving into your 6th house is work, health, routines, pets. Maybe since 2023, there's been a loss or a new beginning with a pet, a domestic companion, but it's your daily habits that are asking to go under construction. Pluto's asking you to eliminate what's draining your energy in little holes every single day that you may not recognize until months or years later. And Pluto's asking you to build a life that's really sustainable. You know, Pluto going through the 6th house can sometimes be read as health issues cropping up. And it's normally not anything serious, but it reminds me of that quote that says, if you don't take a break, your body will force you to. Meaning you'll get sick. You'll develop something. I think we've all experienced this before when we push it and we push it. You know, right now in the United States, they're arguing over whether we should have daylight savings time or not. And it just blows my mind because it's so unnatural to make people get up in the dark and then start their day. I mean, maybe not getting up in the dark, so to speak, because I think it's a beautiful thing to get up at like 4 or 5 a.m., right when the sky's gently turning purple. But you know what I mean? It's just not right to have people get up, commute to work in the dark, get to an office, get thrust underneath of LED lights, stay there until 4 or 5 p.m. when it's already getting dark again outside because of the season, and then drive home in the dark and that's so dangerous to the energy and the health of our community. This isn't woo-woo. This is biology. And I share this because that is such a little thing and yet a very big thing at the same time. And I think that's just one example, Virgos, that you're going to start to look at and see If you tell yourself, I don't have time to go to yoga, to get a massage, to pray, to meditate, to choose juice over soda. I don't have time to drink water. I have a headache. I know I need to drink water. I don't have time. Are you staying busy to avoid something? Are you actually working towards your dream, or are you just staying busy telling yourself that you are? Pluto going through the 6th house. It's an awakening for sure. It's all the little pieces of life that make up whether you feel healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. When Pluto goes through the 6th house, it's asking you where the little things have slipped through the cracks. Plain and simple. Now let's throw the layer of Aquarius onto this. This is the sign that rules doing things different, what's not socially acceptable or normal. So Pluto in Aquarius going through house number 6 for you is saying, what is right for you that other people may say, that's weird? What habit do you need to adopt that people won't understand, but it is right for you? Right? Pluto going through your 6th house from now until 2043 is asking you to create daily routines that support the life you want. Not necessarily the one you have, but the one that you want now, moving forward. So Virgos, that's really all I have to say. With Pluto, the undercurrent of a lot of changes in your life right now have to do with, are you taking breaks? Do you have daily habits that support health, longevity, a good work-life balance? Do you have good health, not just physically, but emotionally? Utilize this Pluto transit to create a daily routine or something you do for yourself every week, every day, every month that is just for you. That is a healthy habit to create. Now, the other ways that this could be translated and you may experience from now until 2043 are relationships to coworkers, people that work for you, people that work with you, people that you're trying to create something with. A business or a professional thing. So relationships to them could feel some Pluto energy. And again, this is the house of pets. So if you welcome in a new pet into your life, or if you lose a pet between now and 2043, which is highly likely, it's likely to be very transformative to your overall day-to-day routine. The most blatant example of how this may manifest is you decide to adopt a dog. And a dog requires, if you're a good owner, lots of daily movement, activities. So yeah, forced socialization if you go to dog parks. But that could help you where you don't have an excuse. You can't stay home and watch TV because you have to go walk your dog. See how that kind of works in your favor? You get more nature time. You get to move your legs. Dogs can heal all types of pain from the past to show you unconditional love. And let's say you lose a pet during this time frame. Well, the loss of that pet is likely to be very transformative and kickstart a completely different way of living for you. It's almost like a pet during this time becomes a muse for work, for health, something along those lines. So Virgo, that's really cool. I like Pluto's transit in the 6th house. So I'll wrap it up with this though. Pluto is going through that 6th house, and it is showing you where daily routines or lack thereof, health, your work environment. Do you work in a cubicle, an office? Do you work from home? Those things may need to be restructured. You're taking a good look at your daily habits and completely redoing them to optimize health. Pluto's probably showing you guys exactly where burnout, perfectionism, or unhealthy coping patterns have been hiding. Perfectionist is a strong suit of Virgo placements where they can achieve great things, but it can also but it can also get them in sticky situations with relationships and co-working relationships because you play by your own rules because no one's ever good enough. No one ever levels up to you, which can be a cool thing, but also something that gets you into Plutonian situations, if you will. So this is a time period to release those unhealthy patterns. Let people in. Let them help you achieve a goal. Let them work with you fairly. Do something that involves pets. And again, focus on that daily routine. The Aquarius layer to this is encouraging you to stop living by the society's definition of productivity and look at routines that actually make you feel alive. Look at the bad habits that you're ready to release. Pluto going through that 6th house until 2043 is asking you guys to design a lifestyle that's uniquely supportive of who you are instead of who you've been told you should be in the past. Libra placements. Oh, Libra risings. Pluto is going through your 5th house. Fertility, creativity, pregnancy. We'll get this one off the table first. Pregnancy. When Pluto goes through the 5th house, a lot of people finally achieve pregnancy after years of trying, or they may decide they need to submit to medical intervention. Pluto is, when it comes to fertility and conception, he's a heavy hitter. He represents where the body may be energetically rejecting conceiving life and birthing life. It can be turmoil when it comes to pregnancies. And I don't share this to scare you if you are a Libra who is pregnant. That's not always the case. It could just be a feeling of, whoa, this is not how I thought it was going to be, which I feel like a lot of people feel when they step into parenthood. They have this ideal of it, and then it's almost never how it actually turns out. But Pluto going through the 5th house would indicate that pregnancy and birth and delivery of a child especially affects you on a deep psychological level that you didn't see coming. Now, Pluto going through the 5th house is not only conceiving a new child, but it's current children that you may already have. This could be your biological children, stepchildren, adopted children. This could also be grandchildren, may fall under this if you're of age. And Pluto going through this is simple. You're watching them transform. You're watching your kiddos grow up. You're watching them change. You're watching them go through dark things, difficult things. And again, you could say without astrology, kids are going to go through that. You're in this transit for 20 years. Of course, no matter what you believe in, you're going to see your children, if you have them, go through something painful, and you'll have to guide them through it, be an anchor for them through it. So when Pluto goes through the 5th house, it simply means that the experience of watching them go through this affects you on a deeper level than other people, or the way it might if Pluto was going through a different house. Now, if none of those things apply to you as a Libra, the 5th house is romance. So if you are single, looking to date, feeling disheartened, Pluto's going through that 5th house and saying, here, we're going to throw you some relationships like this to push you into your power. Take your power back, romantically speaking. Dissolve any old fears about cheating, infidelity, love triangles. Dissolve those things. And then the definition of the 5th house and Pluto transiting it for you guys overall is self-confidence. It's creativity. It's the conception of an idea. A lot of people who are famous entrepreneurs have 5th house stelliums. The 5th house is confidence, assertiveness, leadership. It's joy within itself. So when Pluto goes through this house, it's asking you to go through a death and a rebirth when it comes to creatively expressing yourself, into giving birth to a business idea, to a creative idea, and letting it grow legs and walk outside of you. That's why I always say a lot of people, when they write a book or when they create an album and they release it out into the world, what do they say? Be good with my baby. That's my baby. It's released into the world. You know, it's not a literal baby, it's a book. But it feels like that to them because they spent so much time incubating it in their heart, maybe not their womb, but their heart space, and they give birth to it out in the world. If you've ever published a book and held it in your hands, it's a very surreal feeling, similar, not totally the same, similar in nature to holding your baby. Like, whoa, this is real. This is actually not just something invisible in my mind or in my womb. It now has a face. Very similar to that. So let's add the Aquarius layer to this. Aquarius always wants us to express ourselves in unique ways that are original, authentic, bold. Get away from AI, Libras. Don't touch it unless it's making your life better. When I say don't touch it, I mean don't let it create music, poetry, because you need to do it in the most authentic way possible with this transit. But sometimes when Pluto goes to Aquarius, the 5th house, we recognize where we've spent too much of our life creating for approval of the audience rather than internal fulfillment or from trying to help the collective. Aquarius is the collective. When Pluto goes through the 5th house in the sign of Aquarius, the children you are raising, raise them with the notion that they are going to go out and participate in the collective. Will you be proud of how they behave? If you don't have children, look at this through the lens of, if I am creating, what am I creating at my job, what I do every day? Even if it's not a physical thing like a book or music, it's energy. What energy, creative expression am I putting out in the world? Is it for self-fulfillment, for my ego, or is this actually going to inspire the collective? Always go to inspire the collective. What would you guys create if criticism was not a thing, didn't exist? Since 2023, when this transit began, how has your heart changed? This is the house of romance, heart, soul, creativity. Where are you finally allowing yourself to be seen, Libras? When do you feel most like yourself? What are you doing when you feel like, this is me, I love this? What creative gifts have you been afraid to share? What creative gifts have you stifled down in order to raise children or be a parent? How can you see the world through your child or a child's eyes and remember how magical it is as a source of inspiration? So Libras, from now until 2043, your creativity, romance, joy, and relationship with children and pregnancy may be under great transformation. Aquarius, sitting here, is encouraging you guys to stop creating for approval and start expressing the parts of yourself that no one else can replicate. So Libras, this is a very powerful one. Creativity force, birth, pregnancy, children. Pluto going through this area may push you into pain around these themes, but it's trying to awaken you to your power and to being an amazing steward of creativity and of children. And also to recognize the absolute healing potential when it comes to romantic encounters and maybe taking them to the next level of doing a life-committed partnership. Libra, this is a very powerful transit, and some people at the end of this are so proud of where their children are and what they're doing. They have such a solidified bond to them if they use this energy correctly. And if it's a creative project, so many people have created their best work when Pluto went through their 5th house. They really tapped into the well of pain from the past, or where they felt out of control and they just let go of fear, Pluto word sometimes, and stepped into their most authentic expression, and they create works of art that stand the test of time. This is really cool, Libra, and you guys are very, even though you're an air sign, you guys are extremely creative. So can't wait to hear what you guys do with this transit. Scorpio risings. Oh, you know, I'm talking to my Taurus risings. I got a star next to theirs. Leo has a star. Aquarius gets a star because Pluto is going through their big 1st house of self. But you guys, yes, you have a star as well, because you have Pluto going through the 4th house. So your fellow fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and you guys all have Pluto going through what we call cardinal or angular houses, which simply means they're a big fucking deal. And life tends to really change and be felt when Pluto goes through one of these houses. So Scorpios, you have Pluto going through the 4th house. This is the roots of the chart. Everyone uses the phrase family tree, right? But no one looks to the roots. They look at the trunk and they look at the branches, but let's take a look at the roots, because the family tree will not have any fruits to bear if they have rotten roots. And when Pluto goes through the 4th house, it says, let's find the rotten roots, clean them up, trim them up, and move forward. The most blatant definition of this is you guys have probably experienced a pregnancy or two since 2023. Maybe there's been a separation. Maybe your parents divorced. Maybe a parent passed away or grandparents passed away. Maybe you got divorced or married during this time. But Pluto going through the 4th house is shaking up the family tree, the foundation of your entire chart. And we'll throw the Aquarius layer onto it. This transformation has to look unique. It has to look weird. There's a rumor that Taylor Swift is a Scorpio rising, and then there's some people that say Capricorn rising. I'm going Scorpio rising. She got married as Pluto went through her 4th house in such an Aquarius way at Madison Square Garden. I just think that is so on point with this, and that's, she's getting married older or later in life, which, nowadays, I got to tell you, I'm finding with my clients who say, I got pregnant and married in my 20s, they're almost feeling shame when they admit this to me. And when I begin to ask, like, why are you a little embarrassed about that? Like, did they give off the vibe of, I got pregnant at 15, you just kind of put your head down like, oh yeah, that was young. That's what I'm starting to get from 26, 27-year-old pregnancies. And I'm thinking, well, this is interesting. I think it's because it's now becoming the new norm to get pregnant at your Saturn return or later in your 30s, which is cool. But I fear the pendulum has swung so far that way that as a result, we're looking at people who are still on that standard timeline of getting married and pregnant in their 20s in shame and going, ugh, poor you, that sucks, when it doesn't. It doesn't suck. This is why I love astrology, because everyone is on their own journey. There is no right, there is no wrong. There is your blueprint and what is right for you. And no one else's opinion should waver that. You know what's right for you. And even if you make a wrong turn in life, you can always course correct it. And if for whatever reason you don't course correct it, you're learning something. Just find the good, the little good in every day, because it exists. Let yourself rest. Force yourself to take action when the time is right. This is Pluto in the base of your chart, your emotional foundation. Pluto is going through it and saying, let's pull the reins back. Jackson. He's snoring loud. Let's pull the reins back on letting these intense Scorpio emotions take over our day. I don't want to drown in emotions anymore. Pluto says, all right, I'm going through the fourth house. I'll fix that. Your home, your family have likely been rebuilt from the ground up. A lot of you have probably moved, bought a house, sold a house, moved back in with family with your tail tucked or excitedly. A lot of you guys are creating family compounds. There's something with the physical living location that's likely to change if it hasn't already. Now remember, Aquarius, that unique eccentric sign, wants you to question inherited family dynamics and create a home life that reflects your values, not your ancestors' expectations. That is huge, Scorpios. Going through the fourth house in the sign of Aquarius, what family patterns end with you? You are a phoenix rising from the ashes. This is the front door to your chart as a Scorpio ascendant. What family patterns end with you? Be very proud. If you're a new parent, be so proud. Raise that child differently than you were. If you'd like to be a parent, this is also a beautiful time to look into that and talk about how you will raise it. A lot of Scorpio risings. In fact, I would even remove astrology from this. What I'm seeing heavily so far this year in 2026 is a lot of women, and there were a couple Scorpio risings, actually, out of this group I'm thinking of. A lot of women are intentionally seeking out single parenthood. It's a very obvious trend and pattern, and I talk with women of all ages, my number one audience being in their late 30s and most of all their 40s, and they're intentionally seeking out single parenthood via a sperm donor by choice. And I find this extremely interesting, and I think, well, wow, that this could be because they want full control of a narrative. And again, I'm not for or against anything. I am so for people having autonomy and doing what they think is best, but I've even seen some people come up with a completely different family name. And yes, they had Scorpio in their chart. So Pluto going through this house, would not be surprised if you have a strong interest in feminism or female equality or male-female equality, and you're looking back at the history of the family system and really questioning things and wanting to take a stand. What does home truly mean to you now? What does being a mother, being a father, what does that really entail for you as Pluto goes through your fourth house? So this is childhood wounds, this is ancestry, and overall how you feel in your body. These are experiencing profound transformations. I bet you guys of most of the signs have some incredible stories from 2023 as Pluto freshly, and then into 2024 when it was still on the edge of Capricorn. Pluto's probably uncovered family patterns or your own emotional patterns that have existed in your family for generations. And now Aquarius is asking you to write a different story. So again, what family cycles end with you? What does home actually feel like to you now? And where do you actually want to live? I've seen a lot of your fellow Scorpio ascendants go from I am dead set on living at the beach to building a cabin in Wyoming, and they are so content. I used to be like that. I used to want to live where it's warm. Now I want to live where there's very distinct 4 cycles. Or again, there's a lot of you that are moving back home. Maybe you ran away from home to heal, but you did heal, and now you recognize the beauty of home, or where you grew up, where your childhood was experienced. And a lot of you are kind of boomeranging back there. It's interesting to witness. How are you creating a life that reflects your values rather than simply repeating your upbringing? This is some serious inner excavation, Scorpio risings, but this is totally what you're made to do. So I bet you guys entered into this transit like, yes, this is my time. This is what I came here to do. It's a really cool one. It's I like Pluto going through the 4th. When we see that in a natal chart, we call it popped out of mama with trauma. And so when Pluto goes through the 4th house, it says, yep, I popped out of mama with trauma, and that ends with me right now. No mas. We're done. Can't control me anymore. That trauma, that experience, that generational pattern, it's over. And I am working every day to bring awareness to it, to understand it, to teach about it, to read about it, to make sure my children, or even if you don't have children with this transit, to make sure that I feel so safe and comfortable at home. And I want to remind you, throwing the Aquarius energy on it. This could be you saying, I am married, but I live separately, because that is just what feels good. I never thought I'd live near my family, but now we live on a family compound. I want to live with my family, even if I'm in my 30s, because I want help raising my children. I don't want to be separated and do this whole long distance thing. Expect the unexpected when it's Aquarius, but irregardless, let the experience of whatever transpires transform you and pave a brand new way for your lineage moving forward. It's a pretty cool transit, Scorpios, and I'm always so proud of the work you guys do. Sagittarius, the truth seekers. Pluto's going through your 3rd house. You guys hear me say it all the time. Have you wrote your book yet? Did you write your book yet? You haven't? Okay, that's fine. I get it. Time has to be right. I get it. You guys have ADHD, ADD, all of you. I'll never forget in medical astrology school learning that Sagittarius ascendant is one of the number 1 signs that suffers from borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, schizophrenic disorder. I was just sitting there eating my mashed potatoes, watching the live stream going, oh, okay, whoop, as a Sagittarius sun. Always move those thighs, centaurs. Always do some squats, stair stepper, treadmill on incline is my current flavor of the day. But always move those thighs, okay? Get that vagus nerve activated. But Sagittarius, you guys have Pluto going through the 3rd house of the mind, the writer's block house, the communications house, the siblings house. So your communication style, mindset, learning, siblings, everyday environment may have changed dramatically since 2023. Since 2023, when this transit began, have you guys been wrestling with the book idea? Wrestling with writing fiction, wrestling with how to write nonfiction, wrestling with wanting to write a book about your life, but being so worried about how the people you're going to write about will take it. Maybe they'll bully you, or they'll start conflict with you, and you're like, forget it. No, I'm not going to do it. Maybe your current everyday environment doesn't feel like you anymore. And you're ready to just kind of shock the world and say, I know I used to live in the inner city, but I'm ready to live in the mountains. Or maybe you've lived off-grid for a while and you're like, you know what, I think I want to move downtown Austin and live in a condo right in the heart of everything, get rid of my car and walk at places. There's some sort of shock factor in that immediate environment, like where your neighbors are. It's almost like you guys may be in this era where you're like, I really want to love where I live, and I want to be walking distance to things that I enjoy, because that in turn is going to help me, inspire me to get rid of this writer's block when I'm in an environment that is conducive to creativity. And so something dramatic has to change. And I feel like you guys have either done this or you're about to when it comes to that immediate environment. Pluto going through your 3rd house from now until 2043 is trying to strengthen your voice, while the Aquarius side of it is encouraging you to think independently and speak ideas that challenge social norms. So I ask you guys, since 2023, have you become more confident in expressing yourself? Are you getting very slowly but surely, but very certain on what your needs are? and you're ready to communicate them no matter what the backlash is? What conversations, ooh, this is a good one. What conversations with friends, maybe people on the internet, maybe astrologers, this is Aquarius after all, have changed your life? What conversations have completely changed your life? What truth are you finally brave enough to give voice to say out loud? What's been going on with siblings, Sagittarius rising? If you have siblings, Pluto going through this house can either rupture their connection and go no contact, or it could be, wow, we did not get along our whole life and all of a sudden we are best friends. Ooh. The third house is your authentic voice. It's conversations, it's writing, it's speaking, it's teaching. Some of you may be going back to school. Some of you may be fighting for your children who are in the public school system, or some of you may be pulling your children out of the public school system to begin homeschooling them, and that just thrusts you into a whole new area of life that you're like, how do I do this? What do I do? But you're ready for it with Pluto going there. Now, sometimes Pluto going through the third house is a sibling goes through a death and a rebirth. Could it be a literal death? It's probable. It could be. I don't say this to scare you. It's usually, again, transits work in tandem, so it's probably a sibling that had already had a pre-existing condition, not something so sudden. Or it could be a metaphorical. You have a sibling who was so used to being a software engineer, and then they announce one day they're going to be a spiritual leader in India for the rest of their life. And you're like, what? What? Okay. Wow. All right. It could be a sibling getting a divorce or getting married. There's something huge that could be changing with a sibling that affects you and encourages you to do some third house things, like speak up for yourself. So that is what Pluto is doing. I mean, what else can I add about this? I would love to hear your stories of how it's been going for you guys, but it's simple. It's simply, you guys hear the pugs just like cicadas in the background? It's funny because if I hit pause right now, they will be quiet. That's Jackson, our little black pug. He's the loudest one. Yeah, Jeffrey's in sync with him. But it's ironic. If I were to pause this, they'll be quiet. And then once I start talking again, it's like my voice is frequency music and puts them into like theta brainwaves. Thank you guys for loving them and cracking up with me over their snores in the background. I'll miss these one day. The way you think and communicate, this is your brain's house, right? And Pluto goes through here and says, give me your brain, turns it upside down like a piggy bank, and it's like, okay, those negative thoughts gotta go. Steph, always worried about your dog dying? We gotta get rid of that. It's gotta get out of here. Let's focus on the present, how lucky you are to have him at this age. Cool? All right, let's do this. Oh, we're so focused on not sharing our experience because we want to protect those around us. Really sweet of you. Kind of pushover-y, but really sweet of you. But also, you are 100% entitled to express how you experienced a situation with another person, just as they are entitled to as well. When this podcast was Lightworkers Lounge, thank you if you've been here with me this long. I used to share a lot of personal stuff, a lot of stuff about my divorce. I shared about my divorce so much that I used to get negative Nancy saying, if I hear her talk about her ex-husband one more time, like, turn the show off, get out of here. But I used to always be nervous that he might listen and feel sad or feel angry or feel a type of way. But then I thought, wait, I literally invited him on my show, which is kind of pushover-y, to talk about how he experienced me. What's it like to be on the other side of me? Declined. And then I thought about like my parents who I talked about or past people from my life. And I thought, wait, we're in the age of technology. Anybody can get a $20 microphone, Amazon Prime, straight to their door, hook it up to GarageBand that's on all of our iPhones and MacBooks, publish their own podcast and talk about me until they're blue in the face. Why am I so afraid of sharing how I experience something? If you don't like, and then I thought, if these people are so triggered by how I talk about them, they should have thought about that before they treated me the way they did. I'm not afraid of how anyone talks about how they experienced me because I'll take full ownership of where I fucked up. And I feel like I've done my absolute best with people. In the times I messed up, I'll admit it and say, yep, definitely learned from that and haven't repeated it again. But I'm pretty proud of how I treat people. I bring a lot of awareness to how I make people feel because in my personal belief, that's just what stands the test of time. Not my podcast episodes, but how people feel when they leave a reading with me or when they leave a relationship with me. That's Pluto going through that third house for you guys. Does that make sense? Aquarius, helping you find your authentic voice and encouraging you to speak your ideas out that challenge conventional thinking or challenge social norms, even if they're unpopular at first. So if you guys want to start a conspiracy theory podcast, or if you want to start a homeschooling area where there's nature involved and the outdoors and maybe even astrology, Aquarius theme included, this is your time to do it. This is your time. I feel like, now that we're a few years into this transit, you guys are like, yes, we're ready, let's go. And I hope that is the case. So Sagittarius, this is a really cool transit for you guys. I hope you are just getting so empowered with your voice, and that when that book comes out, you remember to find me and send me a signed copy. I want to pay full price, support your work, but you better find me and say, all right, all those years of horoscopes, here's my book. Thank you. I got my bookshelf waiting right here. I love you, Sagittarius. Ruled by Jupiter. Enjoy his transit through Leo. My Capricorn risings. Pluto's going through your second house of earned income. Might your bank account get really low and then higher than you ever imagined? Yeah. Could you go through a death and a rebirth in what you do for a living? Uh-huh. Oh yeah, that's on the Doppler radar for you guys. And remember, this transit began in 2023 and it's going to last until 2043. So you're already ankle deep into this transit. You probably already experienced this. Now, aside from it being money and your job, the second house is self-worth and the material items that you equate to having a sense of security. These things have likely gone through profound changes. A lot of Capricorns say that they had to sell a material item in order to financially pay for something else. Other Capricorn risings have made major purchases like buying a home or taking out a mortgage, taking out an auto loan, something big that they're investing in or that they simply needed in order to provide security for their family or for themselves. Now we throw the Aquarius layer onto this, and Aquarius, the eccentric innovator, wants you to earn and build wealth now in a way that's true to you, rather than following outdated definitions of success or financial security. I can hear you guys now like Bitcoin, crypto. I'm not saying that's wrong. The ruler of our second house is typically how we earn income. Right? You guys are going to have Jupiter going through your 8th house of investments and merging income. So I think a lot of you are definitely, it looks like you're changing jobs or adding a new stream of income, or irregardless of what it is, there's something about you guys. Either you have kids and you're thinking of, wow, I really need to set them up financially for the future. Or if you don't have kids, you're finally at this point where you're ready to create generational wealth or create wealth for yourself where you don't have to worry so much about missing a week of work, if you will. And that's a pretty big deal for a Capricorn rising, right? Everyone makes fun of you guys, like CEO of the Zodiac. Sure, right? You'll take it. The boss. You guys are the father of the Zodiac. They always say like, oh, that person's the mother of the friend group. You guys are the father of the friend group. Whereas the mother of the friend group is like, everybody give me your keys. Make sure to eat some pretzels and drink water. You guys are like, why are you still kicking it with that dude? He's a loser. And people are like, why are you so mean? And you're like, am I mean, or do I care about you and your future? Like, that guy's going to drag you down. Why are you still working for that boss? Why are you still building someone else's dream when you're so talented? You're the father, the disciplinary of the group. I love Capricorn risings and moons, one of my favorite placements, because I love that authentic realness. I love the sense of, wow, you know what? You're right. And I do need to work hard because I want great rewards. And Capricorn is the sea goat. It's the sign of manifesting. I also want to remind you guys that where Capricorn sits in our chart is where we are sometimes late bloomers. As a Capricorn ascendant, this is your first house of your identity and yourself. And if you're listening to this as a Capricorn sun, similar in nature, it's your identity, your vitality, who you are, your ego. Capricorn represents where we are a late bloomer. And so when we're a Capricorn ascendant, we're typically late to the party when figuring out who we are, what we want. And even though Capricorn is the sign of father, it's very typical that Capricorn suns and ascendants don't reach that level of maturity to achieve success until later in life. In street terms, you guys don't get your shit together until well after your Saturn return. Sometimes you take till your Chiron return, right? And that's kind of harsh. But the other way you can look at it is you just feel lost. You get lost in taking care of other people. You get lost in providing for other people. Maybe you had to take care of aging parents. Maybe you had to financially provide for a sibling or for kids, child support. This falls under that you didn't really get to take off when you wanted. This is something I do see in a lot of Capricorn suns and ascendants is they become parents later in life. They achieve financial success later in life. They get married much later in life. But when they do, it's the right one. Or if they do those things prematurely, child support, alimony, having to start over at age 40 and rebuild a business from the ground up because of previous legal, financial, law, because this is Capricorn we're talking about, stuff that comes up. So, guys, with Pluto going through that second house, I hope you recognize what you're worth. I hope you ask for what you're worth at a job, or I hope you get your money right. Don't buy things to give you a false sense of worth. Do I want this? Do I need this? Ask yourself that until 2043. But where have you been settling for less than you deserve, Capricorns, with money, but with everything, with partners, with jobs, with your parents, with your family, with your living situation? Like, have your cake and eat it too a little bit, but this is your time to rise and say, a lot of you guys, and now the second house is the house of our natural born talents. And being a Capricorn placement, you are typically someone that achieves great success in your natural born talents. With Pluto having just gone through your first house since 2008, you probably went through a lot of relationships, financial stuff, families, you name it, you went through it in terms of pulling you off of that path. It was almost like the universe kept saying, how bad do you want it? Oh, but how bad do you really want it? Ooh, we're going to dangle it. How bad do you really want this though? What are you willing to do for it? Oh, we planted this dream in your head when you were a child, and, well, unfortunately, life got in the way and veered you off course. Pluto's gone. Thank goodness. You guys live to tell the tale, but it's going through your second house now, and it's rebuilding your self-worth from the ground up. You know what they say on the streets? Your bank account's a direct reflection of your sense of self-worth. Do you believe that? I kind of do. I think you guys are going through that huge makeover where you're like, money is energy. I should be paid for my natural talents. I'm finding stability in my emotions, and I'm not letting anybody. I am okay never getting married or having kids or doing this if it means no one messes with this dream that I was born with. I'm getting sober. I'm getting clean. Don't mess with me. I love this transit for you, Capricorns. So money, self-worth, possessions, your sense of security, all of those things have likely gone through major transformations since 2023. And Pluto is now exposing where you've undervalued yourself in jobs, in relationships, or where you've built security on shaky foundations. So remember, throwing the Aquarius layer into it, this is the sign of eccentricity and innovative energy. It's reminding you that there isn't just one way to build wealth or define success. Stop doing what your dad does or what your dad told you to do. I say that with a grain of salt because I know some fathers have amazing advice, but Capricorn, it's typically a lesson of detaching from the father's generational patterns. Do as he says, not what he does. What is your unique gift? Where have you settled for less than you deserve? If money weren't about survival or impressing others anymore, how would you build your life differently? Capricorns, I'll leave you with this. If they gave out universal basic income tomorrow, everybody gets $10,000 a month, minimum. Would you still work? Yes, of course you would. But why? And what would you do? Class dismissed. Aquarius, pull your chair up. This is your transit. Hi, guys. One of my favorite signs. I love all the signs for their unique stuff, but you guys definitely are one of my... I was raised by an Aquarius. I can't help it. You guys are my family. Aquarius is sextile, my Sagittarius sun. Together, our minds create opportunities for each other. Your air makes my fire rise, and I fan you, and we grow together. Maybe it's the other way around, whatever. I love you guys so much. Pluto, you guys have a star next to Aquarius here in my notes. Why? Because Pluto's going through your first house. Guys, what's going on? Since 2023, March 23rd, 2023, 3/23/23, all the way to 3/8 2043. March 8th, 2043. You guys are getting the ultimate cosmic makeover and push into your power. Number one, if you guys aren't coming up with ways, and I'm looking at you, Aquarius sons, too. If you guys aren't coming up with ways to get into government, to get into law, to get yourself on your city council, to speak up and share your unique perspective on how to heal this insane world, that's me slapping your wrist. We need you, especially if you've got a Leo moon or Leo somewhere in your chart. You're made for this stuff. Pluto going through the first house of identity, of self. You guys, along with your Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio, fixed sign cousins, you guys are going through Pluto, going through a major house, an angular house, aka it's so significant. You guys get crowned the crown jewel of this transit because the first house where Pluto is transiting for you guys is the only house of the 12 that has nothing to do with anyone else besides you. So Pluto going through this first house is one of the biggest identity transformations you'll ever experience in your lifetime. And if you did not fast forward to me in the beginning, many people on Earth will never experience Pluto going through the first house because it takes hundreds of years to go around the Earth. But here you are with your Aquarius soul dropped onto this planet at its absolute worst. It's not its worst. There's so many beautiful things, but it's definitely chaotic, right? And you guys are like, nope, I want Pluto to go through my first house. Since 2023, Pluto's probably been slowly peeling away old identities, old labels, roles, versions of yourself that no longer fit. You throw Aquarius into this mix, you know this sign, the black sheep, the innovator, the thinker outside the box. Aquarius has always wanted you to stand apart from the crowd. If that's your ascendant or your sun, it's just in your soul. I gotta stand out from the crowd. Ask me how I know. Mom, I'm looking at you if you're listening. Aquarius is that sign. By the way, I was previously married to an Aquarius sun and moon. I just adore Aquarius energy. And one thing that I have found to be so common between y'all is you think you don't fit in. You guys walk in a room because you love to be around people, whether you admit it or not. You do. You like people, humans. But you'll automatically tell yourself, I don't fit in. They're looking at me weird. I don't think I don't dress the way they do. But then you don't realize how much people love you for that. Adore you, want to be around you. They love how messy and wild and weird and different your life is. Why? Because you're so unapologetically yourself, because you don't, that's your default setting is to be unique and eccentric. That when people call you eccentric, you're like, oh, I am. I just thought I was just being myself. You don't realize it because it's your default setting, and this is what people love you for. So I hope, if anything, Pluto going through that first house is helping you step into your power, which is, oh, I guess I am different, and that is why people love me. So I'm going to continue to be different because that's infectious and encourages other people to do that. Pluto's making sure you do this authentically, right? So who have you become since 2023? What masks have fallen away? If no one expected you to be the person you've always been, who would you choose to become today? Aquarius risings, you guys get a hall pass for the shock factor. If there's something you want to come out as, maybe you want to come out as gay. Maybe you want to come out as straight. Maybe there's just something about your life that you're like, I really want to start living as this person, which is who I actually am, because I can't stand living under an identity that I am no longer. This is your time. Who are you becoming? If no one knew the old version of you, how would you introduce yourself today? This is like when you move to a completely new country or a new state, no one knows your name, no one knows your history, they don't know who you were in high school, they don't know what you majored in college, they don't care. Who would you be? How would you dress? Where would you work? That's the feeling that Pluto is asking you to create no matter where you are and what you're doing. You're becoming an entirely different person, a person you've probably wanted to be for decades, honestly, as Pluto went through your 12th house. But Aquarius has always wanted you to be unapologetically yourself. And Pluto has been stripping away everything so that you don't have to ask permission anymore to be different. You don't have to feel intimidated by coming out as who you truly are. I absolutely love this transit for your identity, your appearance. So many of you are dressing differently, your hair's differently, styling it differently, your confidence, moving about the world differently. Sense of purpose may have shifted dramatically. Pluto is stripping away all the old versions and old stories you've told yourself and revealing your most authentic power. And a lot of you, I think your story will have to deal with a marriage or maybe even a separation or a relationship of some sorts may come into play to encourage you to step into your most powerful self. Expect the unexpected with that. Because the 7th house is the opposite house, and you guys are going to have Jupiter in that house for the next year. Oh my gosh. So many Aquarius risings. I fully expect good relationship news from now until next July. And whatever happens, again, if it's a divorce, it's probably one that was already premeditated and just needs to have the Band-Aid ripped off. But for a lot of you, it could be welcoming children, buying a house, getting married, starting a family of your own, something beautiful within a partnership. And it could be business contracts as well. It could be partnering with someone on this creative, quirky Aquarius business idea, and run with it, baby. It takes off, and all of a sudden by the end of this Jupiter opposing your first house transit, you're someone completely different and someone unrecognizable in the best of ways, and life just feels so liberating, so free. There's truly nothing better than doing what you love for a living or just simply moving about your day feeling free to be yourself, and that is what this transit is pushing you guys to do. So Aquarius, thank you for your energy, for your mind, for your uniqueness, for never judging other people. Of course, I'm giving all the empowered signs of Aquarius. We so appreciate it. And utilize this transit wisely. Don't let it take you down. Don't be scared or feel the fear and do it anyway. But Pluto is your homie for the rest of this time. And I hope you guys utilize his transformative Phoenix rising from the ashes energy in a completely different way to empower people. And I really look forward to an Aquarius being the next president of the United States. All right, see ya. I wish this wasn't like me. I'm such a fucking Pisces. I love that song. I was just moving and grooving throughout the fifth wheel the other day, and that song came on the Spotify. And I love it. Gosh, that's such a good song. Hi, Pisces. You got Pluto going through the 12th house. I like 12th house transit. Saturn's currently going through my 12th house, and I love it. And it's funny, I traced back to the last time Saturn was transiting my 12th house, and I was in 5th and 6th grade, and that was like the peak time of my life. I was so happy. I was so active. I had so many friends. I loved elementary school. So sad. Just love. Oh, gosh, I did everything there was. I like environments like that. But anyways, Pluto going through the 12th house of the subconscious, deep inner healing, spirituality. Have you guys had crazy dreams lately? Have you really uncovered mysteries, secrets, things, dreams? Have you uncovered your own psychic gifts and powers? Or maybe Pluto went through your 12th house and you recognized, oh my gosh, my mental health is actually not good, and sound the alarms, I need help. That could be a Pluto transit there too. But Pluto's been working hard behind the scenes in this 12th house since March of 2023, and it will remain here until 2043. Hidden fears, old wounds, ending friendships, ending relationships, ending jobs, you get an ending, you get an ending, you get an ending is kind of what Pluto is doing in this 12th house. But spiritual, religious, if it's your thing, spiritual growth may have surfaced from these endings, preparing you for a profound personal rebirth when Pluto inevitably enters your first house in 2043. So really think back to that March 2023 day, think back to November 2024, because this is when Pluto was making his grand entrance into your 12th house of subconscious, hidden fears, things operating behind the scenes. Now, when you throw the Aquarius layer onto it, doing things differently, eccentric, innovative, it's really helping you liberate yourself from unconscious patterns and collective expectations. So again, when Pluto enters your first house, you're emerging as someone completely new and authentic to yourself. Or you're entering the physical rebirth, but the mental work has already been done, right? Like very often when it comes to like a weight loss journey, first you have to get your mind right. You have to say, okay, I am not going to lose weight because I just want to look good. I want to lose weight because I want to feel good. I want to have energy, right? When you get your mindset right, then the first house, the physical body, starts to follow suit when you switch that. That's kind of what Pluto's doing for you guys right now. It's going through the 12th house and it's saying, let's change the way we think about things so the things we look at change. Right? Where are we giving our power away to 12th house themes, hidden fears releasing? This is a lot because Pluto is death and rebirth, but in the 12th house, it's private. And so this may be something that a lot of people around you don't see you going through. And they may not see the fruits of all this internal work you're doing for years from now. My best piece of advice for you guys, being ocean babies, Neptune ruled, Pisces rising, take a spiritual retreat by a body of water. Ocean, number one, but lake, river, stream, whatever has flowing water. This would be such a powerful release to do a yearly ocean sabbatical from now until 2043 to just throw everything in the water, heal in private, see what comes up. You guys are doing Pluto's work quietly behind the scenes, right? Old emotional baggage resurfacing to be completely dissolved. This is a really ancestry coded house. The 4th house is the family tree. That's my mom, that's my dad. Got it. The 8th house is family secrets. Ooh, get Uncle Joe drunk enough and he'll tell you that that's not actually my real dad. Oh, Chris down the street is. That's kind of the 8th house, family secrets. But the 12th house is can someone tell me why my great-grandma was born December 6th? My mom was December 6th. I'm December 6th, and I'm pregnant, due to deliver a baby on the 6th of December this year. Can someone tell me? Can someone explain that, please? That's kind of the 12th house energy right there. Now, throwing Aquarius layer onto it, it's helping liberate you from that ancestral unconscious programming so that eventually you can step into a more rooted, grounded version of that Pisces rising goal, which is to have your unconditional heart be protected with boundaries. So what have you guys been healing in private? What fears have finally lost their grip on you? If your past no longer defined you, what kind of future would you go on to create? It's a very quiet transit, so when you guys hear people talk about Pluto, going through the 12th house is deep inner transformation, working with religion, spirituality, a therapist, anything quiet by yourself, private, is likely to have a profound impact. But it's a soft transit, but boy, does it leave a mark. You know, like if you've got any friends with Pluto going through the 7th house, you're probably seeing them get married or divorce. Any Scorpio rising friends with Pluto going through the 4th house, you're seeing them move, have kids too, or lose family members, something going on there. Yours is very quiet. It's like you guys are just silently observing the world and taking it in and then licking your wounds and regenerating in private, if you will. You know, by the end of this transit, I could so see some of you guys hosting retreats by the sea. I don't know why. That just popped up in my mind. Hosting some sort of healing, gentle, feminine ocean, beach shells. Oh man, I miss the ocean. I am due for some vitamin C. But I could see you guys doing that completely. Art therapy, beautiful during this time. So that's what I've got for you, Pisces. I bet a lot of you have had some... the 12th house is getting sober as well. So if you've struggled with addiction, substance abuse, when Pluto goes through the 12th house, this is such a bullseye, over the target energy, supporting getting clean and sober and feeling raw emotions in order to process them and not let them take control of you. I say that to Pisces suns, to Pisces risings. This is your time to liberate yourself from the grip of unconscious forces. During this time, be cautious of giving too much of your energy to spirituality or to religion, because Pluto is so obsessive and intense and powerful that sometimes this can manifest as becoming so hyper obsessed with spirituality or leaning way too hard onto the Bible. I think all of those things, or organized religion as a whole, I'm just naming off what I've witnessed in Pisces. I think both of those things can have beautiful weight, but I encourage you to steer away from the obsessive tendencies of this transit to become hyper obsessed with one of these things, and make sure you just take pieces of things and create a mosaic of something that is Aquarius 100% yours. Right? It's like a little bit of spirituality, a little bit of astrology, a little bit of human design. I love Christianity. I love Buddhist. I love Tao. I love Islam. Who knows? A little bit of everything to create a mosaic of faith that serves you as a unique Aquarius. This is a Pluto and Aquarius. Let's not forget this unique guide map, soul blueprint that works for you. That's all I got, Pisces. I love you guys. Thank you for your big hearts, for your energy, for your care. You guys are one of my favorite signs. Okay, everybody. That was really fun to do a little Pluto check-in with you guys. I think that Pluto's transit through Aquarius right now is the operating, the undercurrent, the whole operating system, and all the other transits are like buttons and switches on the whole switchboard. The whole switchboard is Pluto. So Pluto going through whatever house we just described in this episode is kind of like, oh, all of these little changes are creating a massive change in bloop, that house. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get lost or I feel like, okay, what is going on and why, I go right back to, where's Pluto? What is he doing on my chart? Oh, he's asking for a complete restructure of this. And being a very Plutonian woman, meaning my Venus and Moon and Pluto are all at the same degree in Scorpio, stacked on each other like a big sandwich. My chart ruler is Venus. She's in Scorpio. Pluto is connected to my values, to my love relationships, to my finances. Venus. Pluto is a tattoo on my heart. So dating a fellow Scorpio moon, of course, on your first date, you go get matching tattoos. Duh. We got our Scorpio moons. And yeah, it's beautiful. But I didn't really know what we were doing back then. I wasn't that big into astrology as I am now. But I love that that's of my entire chart. That's what I chose, because to me it represents being friends with the darkness, recognizing that the darkness can be one of the greatest forces to living such a beautiful life, right? Like, you think of love, the greatest force on earth can't be measured. Love is really what causes destruction. Love is like the precursor to all things Plutonian, if you think about it. Right? I don't think hatred and anger and jealousy can exist unless there was once love there. So it's like love is the best thing in the world, but it's also one of the most dangerous, right? If we have a fur baby or a real baby, I laughed so hard. One episode, you guys called them skin babies. I can't say it out loud. I'll keep laughing. But we have those things and they're so innocent and they're so pure and it's the biggest form of love. But if, God forbid, something happens to them, we just, they die. We step into such dark Plutonian pain. And then we have two choices. We let that pain just consume us for the rest of our lives and we live in this darkness, or we choose to say, oh my gosh, like what an experience that was. And let me use that to love like every day is my last and their last and appreciate them even more. That's Pluto's energy. So wherever Pluto is going, could you have some darkness? Sure. Could you have some dark nights of the soul here? Yeah, probably. But it's here to impact you and transform you into a more powerful version of yourself, to really enjoy. Pluto is passion. Passion, passion, passion. Purpose. This is the number one question we astrologers get. What is my purpose? Well, it probably lies in your pain. And where can we find purpose, passion, and pain sitting in a hot tub? Wherever Pluto is. So go check it out. I hope this episode helps you out even a little bit. I always feel for people who might feel lost or feel like they're drowning in emotion. I never want them to feel alone. You always have a resource here at the Astrology Lounge with your girl. So visit astrology-lounge.com if you would ever like to book a transits reading with me to go over Pluto. We will spend a whole hour, you, me, these snoring pugs, a good spindrift sparkling water, whatever you want to come with. We will talk about where Pluto is on your chart and if it's squaring anything, sextile, trine anything. I want to hear all your stories. This is your safe space. All right, guys. I'm sending you so much love from Twin Moon Ranch outside of Austin, Texas. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.